Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to the program African Discourse, watching you live from our global headquarters here in Edo State, Nigeria. My name is Daniel Praise Ose Debame, standing in for my colleague Evans Onokoge. And of course, I'm not going to be alone on the show this afternoon. I have with me my co-anchor Joseph Joshua. Good afternoon, Joshua.
How are you?
You would have asked me if I'm twisting your name this afternoon.
It's okay, it's okay. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Very well.
All right, now, today we are going to turn our focus to a matter of critical importance, the growing terrorism index in Africa. Now, in recent years, Africa has witnessed an alarming rise in terrorism, with attacks intensifying in regions like the Sahel, West Africa, and the Horn of Africa. Now, these activities threaten not only lives and property, but also regional stability, economic progress, and the socio-economic fabric of these communities. Now, as we examine the roots of these growing issues, we are also aiming to explore sustainable strategies for curbing the tide of terrorism. I have some experts that will be helping me to make sense of the discussion today. From my immediate left is a distinguished professor, Professor Julius Iyasere, a respected academic from the University of Benin, with extensive experts in African socio-political dynamic. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you, Dan, for having me.
It's always a pleasure. And sitting very close to him is no other person than Nowenta Igbotaka, an international conflict resolution expert renowned for his work in mediation and building peace across Africa. He is also the Executive Director, Nigeria Good Governance Research Center. We appreciate you for coming.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, now let's get into the hub of the matter, Professor Iyasere.
Yeah.
Understanding the roots, what factors have contributed to the rise of terrorism in Africa? What would you say could be the factor?
Okay, maybe I pick it from the definition actually of terrorism. Terrorism, from Oxford Dictionary, says the use of violence and intimidation on civilians for political reasons, to sway political points. They use violence, they use intimidation on civilians. And if that is anything to go by, it means that the basic reason why terrorism is rising in Africa is poor governance. That is succinctly putting it. If Nigeria and Africa is well administered, let me use that word, then there will be no reason why anybody will want to use violence or intimidation to upset any government. But what it clearly shows is that our people have refused to do what is right. You know, what is normally said in local parlance is that those who make peaceful change impossible, make violent change inevitable. And that is what you see, and that is what terrorism is.
Okay.
You move from one country to the other in Africa, you find that some persons are there for over years, 40-something years, in one position, and they are not moving, they are not shaking, and you are not doing the right thing. The sit-tight leaders is what you have in Africa. I think that is one of the basic reasons.
All right, so your submission was quite on point, but at the same time, too, I really want to get your perspective on the angle of where poverty and illiteracy lies, because one of the fundamentals for terrorism, especially in Africa as we have it, is the level of illiteracy. So if you say people who go into terrorism use it as a basis to get, or sway minds into political ideology, where is the place of poverty? Can you link it to poor leadership? And of course, if you say poor leadership, where is the place of illiteracy as it is?
Of course, once you don't administer well, you precipitate poverty. And once you don't administer well, you also precipitate illiteracy. Because if you have good government, you are governing well, you know that one of the least that you can bequeath to your citizens is education.
So now let's drive. Okay, so
yes.
now let's drive the point home.
Yes.
In Nigeria, as we have it, the level of terrorism is predominantly in the northwest,
Yes.
according to research.
Yes.
Now, are you saying that it was a deliberate move by the political actors within this region to make sure that people's life reduced to the barest minimum so as to foster terrorism? And where is the place of education, especially when looking at this kind of leaders that govern those regions?
For a very long time, people have fingered Boko, what they call the Almajiris in the north. People who, the persons there, the high and mighty in the north, the aristocrats in the north, have refused to educate because they want to continue to use these ones as weapons of war.
Cannon folders.
Yes, and that is what you are seeing there. They have refused to educate them, because once a mind is educated, of course, the mind can now think well.
Okay.
And so they have refused to educate them so that they can be used.
Let's quickly get the insight of Mr. Igbotaka. As an international conflict resolution expert, you will help us with this now. The late General Sani Abacha, he once said, if terrorism persists, those in government are part of it. And to an extent, we have seen a continuous persistence of terrorism across the Sahel. Nigeria is not an exceptional. Are we not going to finger it like Professor Iyasere has said? Are we going to finger it to those in authority, or is there a way of exempting them? Because in a way, we've heard from some of these terrorists where they have their own ideology. They will tell you they want their own state and they are pushing for a different cause. And in a way, if you want to look at it critically from the layman point of view, it seems that the government is not really part of it because they are actually fighting the government. We've seen where they're unseated, constitutionally elected political office holders in some part of Nigeria. So how can we draw a balance? Are we going to finger the political class in this?
Well, the SYZ of terrorism across the African landscape is very clear. The most generators of conflict situation that generate to terrorism is the African leaders who have decided, sadly, to engage in misgovernance. They don't care about the people. They don't care who. They come to power. They do a blueprint to take the people out of poverty, out of insecurity, out of poverty and hunger. Self-centered leaders who have no mission, who have no vision. That's what we get across the African landscape. They are the main generator of terrorism. And when you see a government that is more or less anti-people, no agenda, no coherent ideology, what do you expect the non-state actors to do? They engage in morality of violence. How we call morality of violence? International relations, international conflict situation. What we call morality of violence. People will not justify. We must fight the system. We must unseat the system. Because one of the things that they do terrorists is they want to change the government. They want to take power. They want to do things that will better the generate of the people. So the onus still lies on bad leadership. Who have decided, it's a deliberate, not to align with the people.
Okay, so if
the people, the non-state actors,
okay, so trying to make reference to conflict resolution, we understand that not all conflicts are negative. Some conflicts are positive and negative.
Positive,
So in this wise, are we saying that some persons who decide to go against state actors for reasons best known to them, are we going to be targeting it as a violent crime, as it were, in this case? Or they are trying to get the attention of those in authority so as to look into their plight?
That's what I mentioned, because in just war theory, in a peace and conflict resolution at the highest level, we want just war theory. Why do people go to war? Is it the state actors that have the right to declare war? No, answer your question. The non-state actors do have the right to declare war. Because when the government is not for the people, it's not for the for the underprivileged. The people are being impoverished, deliberately underprivileged. We're talking about poverty just now. Talking about lack of education and things like that. The non-state actors, I use that word. It's a technical word, international conflict resolution.
Okay.
What do you call it? The word I use now. Morality of violence. When people, for example, United Data the other day, when they saw that the United Data produced the oil that feeds Nigeria, the nation, people engage what I call, morality of violence. So we have the moral right to engage in government. And look at what the government did. He said, gentlemen, you come to the table, and we saw what happened in Niger Delta. Most of the guys who are miscreants, people who have been forgotten in the creeks, so they are going to one of the best universities in the world because that government listened to them. So
okay.
Let's talk about the positive aspect of violence.
We'll get back to you now, but let's quickly get to Professor Yasere as someone that has been in the academic world for a while, and of course you have been a frontliner as far as unionism is concerned. Let's take it from this way. How do poverty, unemployment, and lack of education contribute to the radicalization and recruitment of young persons into some of this food, because their target audience are mainly young persons who are vulnerable, especially those who are uneducated?
My brother, it is often said that a hungry man is an angry man. That is one. The young persons are footloose and they have energy in them. Once you don't tap the energy positively, it's most likely that they will use the energy negatively. And for somebody who is hungry, and of course also uneducated, does not see what is likely to happen in future, because you are supposed to be, as a man, be able to project into the future of what is ahead of you, or what you can possibly become. You are such a person who don't know, who cannot interpret that and all that, and you are hungry because you have been made hungry because of lack of good governance. The next thing to do is that it's easier or easy for you to be recruited. And that is why we have it that hunger can lead young men into terrorism. You have to, whether you like it or not, you have to engage a young man, because at a particular prime in life, he's energetic. He must do things. And so once you don't do, then they will use it. That is what I said earlier, that they will now redirect their energy in a negative direction. And that is what we are seeing here, how you find young persons, very many of them, into terrorism.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, in your earlier comments, you said leadership, especially where it is very porous, it is deliberately done to be able to control the minds of certain few, especially the youth, to be able to go into terrorism. Now let's narrow it down to some of these states that are, somehow breeding terrorism. We're looking at Kaduna, for instance. We're looking at Kano. We're looking at Sokoto. We're looking at Zamfara. We're looking at Jigawa and Kebbi. These are 6 states within the,
Nigeria,
the region that I just mentioned. Now, a person that comes to my mind was the former governor of Kaduna State, Malam El-Rufai. His personality is not one whom you would associate with somebody who is not educated. In fact, he has funded some educational projects. So what is happening, despite his vast knowledge, and yet the level of illiteracy, so to speak, is on the increase?
Yeah. Excuse me. I hope nobody is deceiving anybody here. What is El-Rufai's type of education? What is his mindset about the Amajiris? Is he saying it that aspect, that religious aspect or policy, do I put it this way, in what he believes in his faith, that it is not good or it's not well harnessed? Let me not say it's not good, but not well harnessed. Because you allow people to give birth to Pharaoh, let me use that word, And then after
How
that,
do you mean Pharaoh?
Pharaoh means, you know how pigs give birth. That is, they say pigs, Pharaoh. That's as many as possible. You understand? And you have a young man there, you know, a boy who is not up to 40 has already about 3 to 4 wives.
Wow.
And all that. And each of them, of course, want to give birth. You know what that means? So a man pharaohs in that area. And then you are brought up children without hope, without future and all that. But then, that is not how...
But do you understand that it is an individual's choice as to how many wives he or she decides to marry according to their cultural background. But that does not in any way mean that the level of education will go that low.
Excuse me. Well, you need resources to bring somebody to light. You need resources to train somebody educationally. That is why I'm telling you, whether is the former governor of Kaduna State, is he really truthful in his projects towards education? One would have thought that one policy that you will abrogate immediately coming to power is the Amajiri policy.
Okay, but Jonathan tried it and it worked at some point.
But since Jonathan left, what has happened?
What has happened?
So what you have seen there is that some of the elites, the aristocrats there, they send their children out of Nigeria to the best schools. Ivy League universities outside here. But then the children of the downtrodden, the poor masses, are there with one afar or the other, without hope. And since the afar must keep a hope alive, sends them out to the street to go and beg for money.
Okay, Mr. Igboteko,
yes.
Let's narrow it this way. To an extent, why is it that Africa is prone to terrorist activities? You know, just recently, the Lakurawa now, they are committing havoc in some part of Nigeria. In fact, the Nigerian army has, in fact, declared them that they are worse than even the Boko Haram and all that they've faced in recent times, though they are doing their best to see how to tackle them. Lakurawa came from another country. So why is it that Africa is prone to terrorist activities?
Well, we will not forget easily external factors. We will not forget easily the way of unpatriotic elements. When I say unpatriotic elements, we have to politicians, even with the system, who do not like the present government. We have to say the truth. Why is it from this same zone of the country? We've had cases of politicians who funded Boko Haram, who started Boko Haram. We had names. Even one of the topmost guy in the presidency now, I don't want to mention name.
Someone in the Senate was mentioned that they are sponsored.
The vice president was accused
and he's still a senator.
Was accused of sponsoring Boko Haram, the vice president, Shetima. So the point I'm trying to say is that there are people in the system who in collaboration with external factors, who wants to undo Nigeria, who want to undo the present government. Remember in 1999, when Obasanjo came, we heard about Sharia law. Suddenly, the governors were meeting. Sharia. That agenda was to frustrate, confuse, incapacitate Olusegun Obasanjo. And Obasanjo was so tactical, he pretended as if they were not there. He said, this thing will die natural, as it not die natural, the Sharia law. We know the conspiracy that was involved. So talking about this guy, Lamukara, what they call it? Lakurawa. So when I first saw it, you know, as an intellectual, I said, these people have started again. It is an organized agenda to frustrate,
just to destabilize the
government. There's no two ways to it. Why now? Why not before now? Why not during the regime of
but you know, it's not just enough to point accusing fingers without
substantiating. Without fire.
We can't just say here that that doesn't mean well for the country.
Well, does it? Is there anywhere in the world that terrorism mean well for anybody? Except when I talk of just war theory when I talk about morality of violence, what people will say, well, but in most cases, the terrorism we are sponsored. Destructive terrorism. You just told me that in conflict resolution, that's what they call a positive part of conflict. That after the conflict, something better will come on. Yeah. They talk about conflict transformation, peace building, all those stuff. But what we have in most cases is destructive terrorism, whereby some forces who have fallen out of favor with political power. They want to tell the mind there, say, man, we can shake your legs, we can destabilize you. That is what is happening.
Yes.
Okay. You wanted to add something?
I want to, yes, I don't want us to end this program if I don't go in a particular direction. I'm a man of...
I hope the direction will not take us to where we don't know.
No, I'm a man of divinity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, once you farm around an angry neighbor or a thief, you will get your property stolen. When you farm around an angry neighbor, you are likely to have violence,
conflict
all the time, and all that. And so if you look at it, I try to x-ray the different organizations, terrorist organizations. You find that many have their offshoot from the Middle East.
Yeah.
And if you look at that, I try to bring in the film that is The Man Who Saw Tomorrow.
Wow.
That is Nostradamus, who said that this world will come to an end and it will start. The end will come from the Middle East. And so if you look at what is going on today, there's so much turbulence. I was looking at what the principles behind Hezbollah, that they came up with the intention to eradicate Israel, the nation Israel. And you laugh when you hear that somebody had taken up such a project, to exterminate a fellow human being from the surface of the earth. Not just one, a group of human beings, I mean. And how is that going to be possible? And then that is one. Two, you go back, because I see there are people who are called anarchists. Yeah. Anywhere they are, they must cause problems. And so they aggregate, they have a way of coming together.
They like problem always.
Yes. They will find their likes and then form, a kind of a network and chain and begin to upset the entire world.
More like an organized crime.
Yeah, that's
we are due for a break.
Okay.
Let's quickly head for this break now. When we return back, we'll definitely extend the front line of the conversation. Do stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. Welcome back from that break. And if you're just joining, it's African Discourse on ITV. We still have our guests who are helping us make sense on the conversation. Professor Iyasere, you had the floor before we went on the break. You actually said you want to take us somewhere.
I say I'm a man of divinity. And so I was coming from that angle and then trying to look at
you talked about the activities of Hezbollah,
social religious aspects of this terrorism, resisting and all that. So I have talked about Hezbollah, somebody, a group that came up wanting to eradicate the state of Israel and all of that. And instead of making peace between Israel and Palestine or Palestinians, you want to create more problems. You are thinking that you can exterminate the race totally, which is not possible. I've not seen it where it has happened in this world. Don't know whether it will be the first to start it. So now we're talking about neighbors. The kind of quality of persons you have around you and all that. And the kind of people and how it is being predicted by Nostradamus, the man who saw tomorrow. How they have talked about the Middle East. And I said Australian terrorist organizations all over the world. I found that the names of so many of them are from there.
From the Middle East?
Middle East, yes. Whether you're talking about the Hassai and all of that. And immediately, they are linked to a religious group and all that. And I said, what is it that they are misinterpreting what is in the standard that guides those religious groups? And somebody had told me, that there's a kind of promise that if you kill or get killed in the course of fighting for
Jihad,
your leader, for a cause, then you go to and then 7 virgins are there about
21 virgins
will be waiting for you and all of that. And then so for somebody who has been reconscientized to believe that we want to die, and so we want to belong to a terrorist organization and all of that. And I said, that is why I've always said government should look into what the citizens listen to, what they hear, maybe from the pulpit or whatever, wherever they call it, in all religious sects and all that. You must know what is being preached to the people. Because I'm beginning to see that one easiest place
religion.
You can get your people to understand some policies of government is through the pulpits or wherever. You understand? So, but now somebody is told this, and without education and all that, you believe it in total.
All right,
that's it.
Mr. Igbotoko, let's make sense now as we begin to go deep into the conversation. To an extent, if you trace any terrorist activities, it's traced to a particular sect and traced to a particular religion. But however, scholars from that religion, they've come out severally to tell us, no, this is not we preach, but we've seen something different. Of recent, Niger Republic was accusing Nigeria of destroying their pipeline. And from the little information some of us have, people coming from breaking our borders and entering Nigeria, they are from some of these neighboring countries. Yeah. So how do we manage our borders? And how did we get here that neighboring country is now accusing us of breaking their pipeline?
Well, the reasons are not far-fetched. For instance, the regime that preceded Bola Ahmed Tinubu government, was the mastermind of ethnic, religious, position, so to say. Muhammadu Buhari, we were told that his paternal grandfather, he came from Niger, for instance. So the man, under Buhari, Niger will probably become a state.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria!
How?
How? Okay, how did the pipeline issue come about? Is it not Buhari that laid the pipeline to Niger?
Rail line.
Rail line. Even Nigeria became borderless under Muhammadu Buhari because of religious sentiment, ethnic religious sentiment. So it was somebody that laid the arrangement, and the present government is saying we cannot continue with that kind of arrangement. That a new sheriff is in town, and that's what we're having. What is happening over there? And how would Muhammadu Buhari would have gone that far, turning in Niger Republic into an extension of Nigerian state?
So we've gone past the administration of Muhammadu Buhari.
But you say what happened? There's no stone without fire. It was Muhammadu Buhari that did that destructive, that set up that destructive arrangement. And people are saying, I remember that Niger, we have a new leadership there. There's a military government there. They drove Mohammed, the other guy, they drove him away because the guy was not dancing to the tune of the people. We have a government that is pro-people somehow in Niger now. A government that tries to do things right. And there is probably an ECOWAS. Niger, Burkina Faso, Burkina and one of these countries, Mali, they're out of ECOWAS. Because they have leaders who are clear-headed there. When I say clear-headed, leaders who don't want their country to be used.
On military uniform?
Yeah!
Taking government by power?
Yeah!
And you call that clear-headed?
Yes! I have my reasons. I am not a military apologist. But what is governance in the first place? If government cannot take care of the people, if government cannot put smiles on the face of the people, what is democracy? If you cannot take care of education. What is democracy? If you cannot take care of security. So, what happened quickly in Niger, in Burkina Faso.
What is democracy if you cannot make food
Available
and people are dying through stampede?
Stampede. So now, the military government, they said, they came and they are doing fantastic. Burkina Faso, as we speak, has removed itself from the list of debtors. Burkina Faso, that was once colonized by France, that they called it that was rubbish by Blaise Compaoré and some other bad leaders before this guy. So for me, if a military government is for people, so be it. Look at what happened in America recently, gentlemen. Don't let us go too far. In America, you will agree with me that a Donald Trump is not a darling of most sane American people. But he's the president-elect of the United States. That is democracy. People want what they want.
All right, taking it from where you just stopped now, people want what they want.
Yes.
So now let's bring the point home, because we're taking it so far away from the shores of Nigeria and now taking it into America. So let's bring the point home. So people want what they want. So are you saying right now that we should have a leader, as it were, that is responsive enough to say, what do these people in this particular region want? If, for instance, some set of people on the other divider say, the reason for the insurgency, especially from a particular terrorist group called Boko Haram, is that, or that they are saying they are kicking against Western education. And what is Western education? Formal education. What form of education should we give to them? Or should we completely cut those regions off from education, formal education as it were, in a bid to listen to what the people are saying, taking it from where you stopped?
No, you see, I'm not talking about a city government creating problem for the citizenry. A responsible government knows what to do. A responsible government will have an agenda to take the people out of poverty, to make sure the greatest number of the people are educated. Free education and what I say.
So when the people say they don't want Western education,
those people are the minority. Those people are destructive.
You can't say they are the minority.
Their agenda is not progressive. Are you telling me that the Boko Haram is...
that means you want to marginalize them because of the number. Are you saying...
They don't have a point. You mentioned Ezobela just now. Ezobela that is an ally with Hamas, that want to exterminate Israeli. I'm not saying because...
But when it comes to the election, you rely on their votes, and you now call them minority, isn't it?
Well, for me, in the realm of the conflict resolution, we have what we call destructive terrorism.
Okay.
We have positive terrorism.
Professor Yasser, let's look at the issue of cross-border cooperation. How can neighboring countries improve intelligence and sharing cross-border cooperation to counter terrorist activities?
Is having the same ideology. There must be harmonization. Like what you have in the north. There was once, as president of ECOWAS, our current president wanted to do something about the severance of Nigerians, Burkina Faso, and the likes, Mali, from ECOWAS and all that. But many of our brothers, co-citizens in the north said, those people are our relatives, whether they are in Niger, whether they are in Chad, whether they are in Cameroon and all that, they are our people. You cannot do that. And since then, the president's hands are actually tied. If care is not taken now, the breaking of pipe might be linked to the recent...
Lakurawa group.
The Lakurawa group is not what I really want, but that the president is having something to not do with France.
Yeah.
And these people would be very angry because they are severing relationship with France. And then you are going, and because France is not desperate.
To enter the zone.
France wants to.
Mr. Kotoko, let's allow
France now wants to do something, set up a base in Nigeria. And the people even there in the north are saying, you can't do that, you can't come here. Those people, like what the SY president did in the 70s, where there was an election between an Igbo man and somebody from Niger in OAU. And the president, as at that time, when he was military president, voted for the Nigerian because he's more of a brother than somebody from the same
Nigeria.
country. That is what we are saying.
Okay, let's quickly have your reaction, Mr. Gbotoko, quickly. You wanted to add to what he was saying.
We are saying the same thing, that if you have a responsive government that has a blueprint, because all this comes to the root of the terrorism is a lack of good governance. The government, they do have pro-people policies. So if you have a city president that has foresight, that's an agenda, that has a mission, that's a vision, people to know what to do. You bring the best guys. For instance, for me, President Bola Tinubu want to destabilize Nigeria.
We cannot allow that.
It is my opinion.
No, yeah, but there's
For going to France,
there are certain words
He wants
that
to
we will not-
destabilize Nigeria in what way?
There are certain words that we
In
will
what
not
way?
allow.
In what
yeah.
way?
but by going to France, they want to they want to reestablish French base in Nigeria. When people are kicking against imperialism, kicking against post-colonial manipulation, neo-colonialism.
Okay, well, just to let you know that
It's not the best rest of Nigeria.
whatever opinion we have here on the platform doesn't reflect the opinion of independent television in any way. It's the opinion of our guests, so that we can set the record straight.
Most Nigerians are not happy with the recent romance between Abuja and France, because it's not in the best interest of Nigeria. Nigeria has the resources to buy all the ammunitions, all the gadgets, and tackle these guys. Not bringing a French base into the heart of Nigeria. It's unacceptable. It's a counter. It's a counter. Program that will not go well in the long run. Now they see generative problem. People are not resisting in the north.
But you know,
As a government that is focused, who doesn't want imperialists, who doesn't want all these strong powers, superpowers to manipulate things. When countries like Niger, they are driving the French bases, telling France to go away. The Nigerian president is bringing France to have a base. Can't you use Nigerian money to buy the ammunition? Don't have the money to buy the ammunition.
okay, Joshua.
Or the gadget.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know.
That's how the responsible government should be.
But as a democratic nation, are we not open to bilateral, relationship?
But wait,
So why do you have to look at it from the negative?
it's not negative because as an expert, I know the evil or the evils that neocolonialism has caused Africa. We have examples. You know what they did to Congo, what they did to Niger, what they did to Burkina Faso. Now Burkina Faso is not debt free. After decades of administration being controlled from France. How can a Nigerian president go to Paris and solicit for a French base in Nigeria? It's unacceptable. As an expert, if I'm a minister of foreign affairs, I will not advise the president to do that because it's counterproductive.
Okay.
The best solution is to have bought all the gadgets. We have the resources and fight these guys, boost the morale, employ Nigerians into the army, and fight.
So let's look at the breakout of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger Republic from the African Union. Is it going to create more problems for neighboring countries?
Is it not, for them, they are doing well with it.
They're doing well.
Like what he has posited before. Yeah. What is really governance?
What is democracy?
Is it not bringing freedom to the people, providing food, providing peace. And all that? So the people are doing well with it. Look at what Traoré has done in Burkina Faso. They are doing well. And they have noticed, look, just imagine what it is that in Cotonou here, or in Benin Republic, you post a letter there, it must go to France first before it goes anywhere.
Imagine that.
You go to that place now, all the products they use there, they are all from France and all that. Those people, for over how many years you continue to annex nations like this without allowing them to develop? One of the destabilization we have here, people have said, is based on colonialism. For how long are you going to continue to do all of this?
Okay.
So we need freedom.
We'll be going in less than a minute's time. Joshua, do you want to have? No. Okay. Let's now have your final take. In the long run, how can we have a short-term solution if we can't have a long-term solutions to all these terrorist attacks, terrorism activities in the sub-Saharan? how can we create a short-term solution? Mr. Igbotukwu.
For instance, I will advise President Tinubu to call for a stakeholders meeting, because national security personnel, they know who is who, they have their data. Call for a meeting, talk to them. What do they want? What don't they want? We saw some positive thing during the Musa Yar'Adua regime, when the boys were when they were arrested in that data. There was amnesty.
Okay.
So the president should think.
Let's drive it home. I have a question for you. In Nigeria, we've seen where terrorists flaunt their activities on social media.
Wow.
We've seen it on WhatsApp, on all social media platforms. They flaunt their activities, display the ransoms they've collected, and nobody is still arresting some of them. But when a Nigerian make a post on social media, before you know, such person will be arrested. What is the issue?
It's very clear now. Abacha said it, that if terrorism will last overnight or for a period, the government is involved. There are people who sponsor these people, terrorism. And so they are involved. Like what I wanted to close quickly is that if you want to stop terrorism in Nigeria, train the mind, provide food, then compartmentalize Nigeria. What I mean by that is regionalize Nigeria and then clean from region to region.
Thank
and then
you
you
very
have
much.
terrorism.
Thank you very much, Professor Julius Yasere, FOBA ASU Chairman, Edo State Chapter, and of course, Mr. Muwata Igbotukwu, conflict resolution consultant. We appreciate you for joining the program. And of course, Josh.
I did.
All right, this is how far we can go on the program. We hope you do had a swell time with us. Do join us on our next edition. Have yourself a blessed Christmas ahead. My name is Daniel Praise Osedebame.